Hello, my testimony started at the beginning of 2005. I woke up and I couldn't move, so my husband drove me to emergency, and anyway, the results of the scans they took, he said there was a tumor in the sixth vertebrae and that it was active because it had eaten almost a third of the sixth vertebrae. And they said they were going to set up chemo treatments immediately. So I guess that was pretty serious. But they said it wasn't the primary source of the cancer. They wanted to first take a biopsy and try to find out where it was coming from and attaching itself to my spine. So in the meantime, I got prayer, which basically they were directing the tumor to dry up and die. So they did a biopsy, and the university hospital called me and said I had to go in for a second biopsy because the sample they had dried up and died. Yeah, so anyways, I went in for the second biopsy. Then my family doctor called me in for the results, and he said the tumor in my body had also did the same thing. It dried up and died. Yeah, but the neatest part is to come. 5 years later, I get the same kind of pain, and so I go in again, and in the hospital they gave me a CAT scan right away, and they told me there were several tumors now in the fourth, fifth, and sixth vertebrae. So this is where courage came to play, because God had been dealing with me to have courage, that I had tended to look at other people I knew that had died from cancer, and he told me to have courage, take my eyes off all those people, and he said, I want you to dare to believe, because I would read Psalm 93 and think that it's just too good to be true, and God would say, just dare to believe it. So I memorized it, and every time I had a negative thought, I would say that Psalm 91. And then I went for prayer before I got the results. They had sent me again this time to the St. Joe's for a 3D CAT scan to again find out where the source is coming from. And in the meantime, I had prayer, and a woman had prayed for me, and she said, I see what looks like crystals falling off your spine. And at that time, I wasn't all that up on this, I see a bird in a tree and, this kind of thing. But I did remember it. And anyway, about 3 weeks later, they called me in for the results. And he goes, I have good news and I have bad news. What do you want to hear first? And I said, okay, tell me the bad news. And he goes, because of the damage the tumors did in your vertebrae, arthritis had set in. I said, well, what's the good news? And he says, there are no tumors. Yeah. Yeah. And he goes, I said, well, I thought you said there were several tumors. In fact, he'd even made a comment, there were so many he didn't even count them. And he goes, I guess they just decrystallized. And at that I knew I'm not so quick to ignore some of these prophecies. And the arthritis, they said I had degenerative disc disease, and arthritis had set in my ribs that joined my breastbone. And it's not degenerating. It's not completely gone, but over time it just keeps getting better and better. Yeah.